More music for the Isle of Man.
3FM.
I've done 5 years. I haven't achieved everything that I would like to achieve. I feel I've made inroads, but I would like to have another 5 years to try and get some of those other things that haven't been done through yet. Things like collective responsibility. I brought that to Tynwald twice, asking for it to be reviewed, because there does need to be some sort of collective responsibility, but as it is in its current form, it's far too draconian. It takes in far too many people, which stops it being a real democracy. It stops it being a proper functioning democratic parliament. And I've suggested that one way would be to have a programme of government. And then everybody signs up to that, every minister signs up to that, and that is their collective responsibility. So all the big ticket items would be agreed at the beginning of an administration, and everybody would be agreeing to them. And people would know exactly what was going on. The general public would know exactly what was going on, what they could expect of the government as well over the 5 years. I think I was one of its biggest critics. I think it would be slightly unfair to say that I was part of that administration. I was a member of the Department of Infrastructure, but I was not tied by collective responsibility, and I got that in writing before I joined. So I wouldn't say I was a fully fledged member of the administration. Some things they got right, but some things I think they patently got wrong. I mean, people are always saying, well, how would you grow the economy? And one of the ways that I think would allow the economy to grow is to actually have a level playing field for all businesses. Because, again, you go back to the Sefton, the loans and the whole deal there. I mean, it was proved that the loans were unlawful at the time they were made under the legislation that was being quoted. But that in itself, obviously it was wrong, but to actually prop up a business that was owned by wealthy people when there's other businesses in the same market that wouldn't get that same treatment and that are competing with them. You know, you can't have government helping somebody compete against their competitors. It just isn't right. Back in 2011 there were 2 surveys done, both independent, and both didn't know the other one was going on, if you like, at the same time. And the thing that most people valued more than anything else was the low level of crime here, the fact that it was so safe to live here. And I think we need to do everything we can to maintain that, because I think when you live here and when you've lived here for so long, you tend to take it for granted. You know, I mean, many of us still don't lock your front door. You know, my parents never lock their front door. And you think it's a way of life that you want to preserve. I'm not saying people should go out and not lock their front doors anymore, but you should feel safe. You should feel safe leaving your house at any time of day or night. And you should feel safe in your own house as well, and safe for your children to go out to play. It's something, as I say, I think we undervalue it because we take it for granted, but I think that will be at our peril if we don't listen to the warnings. One thing that really disturbed me, though, in the Chief Constable's report was the fact that domestic abuse is on the rise. There was no explanation given for that in the report, but I would certainly like to look into that more, because that's something that, well, you hope that you're going to completely eradicate, or if not completely, to have it absolute minimum. It makes you seriously worried if that sort of thing is on the rise again, as to the causes of that. I think particularly in the way we are at the moment, you need priority budgeting, where you say because we've got limited funds at the moment, it's exactly the same as you would do with anything else, whether it's your household budget or as a child with their pocket money. You say, what's the most important thing to me? Right, I'll spend my money on that. That isn't important, so I'm not going to. Maybe next year, if I have some more money, I will. It's priority-based budgeting, and where it's feasible, and maybe on a rolling basis, you would do some sort of zero-based budgeting as well. So you go back to saying, right, you haven't got a budget, justify everything that you're going to put in there. So obviously, as leader of Liberal Vannin, my job is to try to get to be Chief Minister, because I believe in our policies, and as Chief Minister, that would be the way to get more of them implemented than anywhere else. Obviously, we're not going to have a Liberal Vannin government this time. We don't have enough candidates. So that obviously would be my objective when things are being discussed after the election.
More music for the Isle of Man.
3FM.